Ox live on the Sid Jones Network. I'm excited. I'm up and ready for the day. It's a beautiful Sunday. It's actually Sunday noon. Can't call it afternoon yet because it is now noon. We're going to go ahead and share this out. Now, while I do that, I want you guys to think about this for a minute. Your favorite bands you grew up with, artists that you grew up with, did they in fact sell out? Because that's going to be the main topic for today. We're going to be discussing, and this was actually brought to me by an interview that I did yesterday. I sat down with Roxy Red. Please make sure you're checking that out over at the Asylum. I'm very proud of that interview. That was probably one of the greatest interviews you've ever seen. I couldn't have done better if I did it myself. This interview blew my mind completely, exceeded any and all expectations. And I said it too. I said it to just a few people. I said, if it goes good, if it goes okay, it'll probably go an hour. But if it's fucking amazing and we're able to have some good conversation, we'll go 90 minutes. We went 93 minutes yesterday. So guys, make sure you're checking that out after, of course, today's Sunday afternoon or Sunday noon episode. That would be fucking fantastic. So I'm just going to go ahead, grab this link here. This always takes a second because I'm still adjusting. And we're going to do this, guys. We're going to fucking do this. So today's sponsor is something about, it's 5G. So we are sponsored by 5G today. That's exciting. I always love seeing that. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and copy this and head it over to this way. So I cannot even express how excited I am about this. This is a topic I've been wanting to get into for quite some time, and I think we've touched base on it at least once or twice. I'm sure I've talked about it. I mean, I've done how many Sid talks in the past years? I can't even keep track of how long I've been doing this for. So with that being said, let's see. We discussed the art of selling out. Insane Clown Posse is a good one because we're going to be talking about them as well. I'm thinking that we're going to get someplace with this. I'm going to throw Twisted in on this as well because we're going to be discussing Twisted's music. As you guys saw my breakdown last week, we did actually kind of discuss how Twisted's not selling out. They're simply changing gears. But, hey, Drowned Out's in the fucking building, man. I fucking missed you guys. I was over here like, oh, shit, I really hope I didn't upset Dan O'Dillinger. I'm sure you're dealing with that post, like, and I get this all the time, Dan and Drowned Out. I'm sure you guys get this. I know I get this. After I wrote Nuclear Winter, I fell into this, like, almost like a depression of the sorts. Like, oh, my God, we just finished, Raven Fest. And I now I kind of don't know what to do with myself. And you kind of end up in this like empty void of like nothingness for a while. And we're actually going to touch base on that on tomorrow night's episode, which I'm excited to do. No. I just don't know how to use Twitch. Oh, okay. I liked my example better because I kind of wanted to get into that just slightly tomorrow. Dropkick Murphys and Green Day. We're going to be getting into Green Day as well. And I definitely think that people are going to appreciate this topic. Now, if this would just paste, thank you, God. Let's see. And then I'll post that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and share this to a few groups. Nothing absolutely insane by any means. Like I said, it always takes me a minute to share with Twitch. So bear with me just for a moment, if you will. Sid Jones Network. The art of selling out. Because this is one of those ones I could share over to the Asylum. Because I didn't want to talk about politics today. I just had so much. I just had so much going on that I wanted to keep it about music. I love music, and I feel like that with my petition's been going around and things like that. We've kind of and we're tired of politics. Let's be honest. I'm running in 2024, and I'm tired of politics. I like to talk about some other things. So we're just going to go ahead and share this out to Music Land. Share now, and then we're going to go ahead and share this to another group. Oh, come on now. Whoops. I didn't want to do that. I shared it like twice onto my own page. So that's kind of fucked up. I can't believe I did that. Why is it taking so long for the group thing to load? There we go. And the roof is on fire. The art of selling out. I like that group, actually. I also became a moderator for another group called Wake Up America, so I'm very excited about that. Shouts out to them. They're great. I love those guys. Dan O'Dillinger writes, Yeah, that depression, what the fuck do I do now, happened for a few days. And we started booking for 2021, which have 11 dates so far for next year. And our new single drops on New Year's Eve. So we're in the studio tomorrow until nice, man. I'm fucking excited for you guys. I really am. That is what I like to hear. And like I said, you get, so I wasn't completely wrong. Like you do kind of, I think every artist, every creator does that. I think they fall like deep into themselves just slightly. And they're kind of like I said, I went into this mad depression after I finished Nuclear Winter, and then it was like on to the next. But I didn't know what to write. I didn't know what to talk about. So it was kind of one of those things. Now, what I am going to say is this. What I'm going to say is this, though. I figured out that if you keep yourself busy, you end up out of that void. So when you're done, you work on the next project. And I think that's why there's so many artists that like do the drinking and the smoking and the cocaine. Not to mention any names. And I think that's got a lot to do with it. So in my honest opinion, I think that keeping yourself busy, working on the next project, working on the next thing is a big thing. I think it's a big deal. So let's see. Are there any other groups I want to share this into? There's a couple of punk rock groups that I think I should share this into. Let's see. Punk and Disorderly. I should do that group. Punk and Disorderly. Are they still around? They are. Punk and Disorderly is still around. And then I'll share this over to this course, the Sid Jones Network page, and so on and so on. Perfect. I'm excited to be here. This is great. Okay, so let us get into it. The art of selling out. What is it to sell out, and what does it actually mean? So here's the kicker. I'm going to explain it to you like this. Green Day, I don't think they sold out. That would be like saying Against All Authority sold out. Now, you've got these old school punk rockers that they like their unproduced or their poorly produced sound from like the 80s, right? It's got to have that gnarly rock tune to it, and it works for some bands. Case in point, Upper Lower Class. They have that same, even when they're live, they've got that same kind of like Black Flag sound, but it sounds authentic and organic. It doesn't sound like they're trying to be Black Flag. It sounds like that they were meant to be there. So it makes sense and it does work. But the best part of all of this is that just because something is well produced does not mean that's what's sold out. It simply means you're adjusting with the times. It simply means this is your idea of a project. For instance, you could say that Sid Jones sold out by that same definition. See this book here? This book was never meant to happen. I wrote this out of pure frustration and anger. Think about this for 1 second. I wrote this book. I wrote Eaten Alive after I did Descent is Not Treason and literally Fast and Furious, my own franchise. That could be taken as selling out because this was the highest rated book. And as far as I was told, people don't see Descent is Not Treason as canon. They like to see this book starting off. So when I say trilogy, they're like, yeah, but it's not really a trilogy because this was the finer book. And there's been a few reviews on it, on Eaten Alive. So you could say that, well, if Sid didn't mean to write this book and he wasn't even going to publish it or whatever, and then he did it for the money, so Sid Jones sold out. That's not the case at all. That's not the case at all. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine made this art, made the art for the book. But I can honestly tell you this, I have not sold out. I have simply evolved. Now, I used to think that Green Day sold out. I used to be one of those guys that said, Green Day sold out, man. They sold out. Why? Because they got popular? Because they went to a different direction? Well, that would be like saying that I sold out. So the question then becomes, on a moral standpoint, did Sid Jones sell out just like Green Day did? Or did Sid Jones do what Green Day did and simply evolve? Now, that's an interesting point. That's an interesting question that I kind of want to dive into. So when a band such as the Insane Clown Posse, they did Bang Pow Boom, people thought that was their sellout album, right? Well, back in the day, we used to think that Wraith Shangri-La was their sellout album. So it's changed quite a bit. But the one thing I want to point out to everybody, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, the one thing I want to point out to everybody is this. If you look at how the music has changed and how the times have changed, things are just going to evolve. Like, you're not going to end up with that same sound. Snoop Dogg went and did fucking, what was it, Lion Dog or some shit like that? Like, Snoop Lion, I think that's what it was, Snoop Lion. He didn't sell out. He tried something different, tried something new. Johnny Rotten, after the Sex Pistols, he went and did Public Image Limited. So was that selling out or was that trying something new? What is selling out and how do you perfect the art of it? Well, I'll tell you how you perfect the art of it. Here's what you do to sell out. You take it comes down to integrity, honestly. Let's be fair here. It comes down to integrity. So let's say Drowned Out, right? they're offered a record deal and they said, but you can't play Oxymoron, you can't play Bang Bang, you can't play any of these songs. None of them. You have to do these songs. Here are the lyrics, this, that, and the other. And they said, okay. They sold their soul to the devil. That is selling out. Let's say Twiggy Dro was offered an opportunity outside of the network and he took that opportunity. He didn't sell out. He fucking grew, evolved, and moved the fuck on. And hopefully those that tune into Twiggy Dro will follow him. And that's kind of where I'm at. If I get a deal, if I'm signing documents with somebody, if I'm signing a contract for a big opportunity, did I sell out? Well, I sold out. I sold out at one point. And I'm going to tell you that story on how I sold out. So about 2-3 years ago, I know we're going way back. About 2 or 3 years ago, Sid Jones got the phone call to be back in the music industry. And I was told to get rid of the hawk, get rid of the vest. We're going strictly this route. And it did open up doors. It opened up doors, but people liked me regardless. And we're going to get to that point here in a second. But just remember this, that with the hawk, with the vest, and you can't even picture Sid Jones without the hawk and the vest. Like if you go look at some of my old pictures, like that ain't fucking Sid Jones. Like that's not the Sid that we know. But that was the Sid that was appropriate for what I was trying to do. But when I got rid of the vest and the mohawk, something happened. Now, people used to shit on it, mainly juggalos. They used to shit on the mohawk and the vest. They did. They used to say, Sid Jones, where like get rid of your hawk and your vest, man. That fucking thing smells like cigarettes and beer and da-da-da-da-da. People used to say that shit. Then I got rid of it all. People were like, hey, where's your hawk and vest? Kind of weird, right? Well, that's because I sold out in a sense. I decided that I was going to go a different route. I was going to go with a different attire, which didn't even really suit me. And I tried doing that. Now, granted, I still like those clothes. I still got the Biggie Smalls. Like, it just looks like a tropical shirt. You know what I'm saying? It's got all the bright colors on it. It's from the painting, the notorious painting that you see on the Luke Cage television series, Netflix series, not television series, and now it's being bought up by Disney. Regardless, I switched and I flipped the script, and it wasn't until last year of 2019 that I was reminded of my roots. And it came at a place of anger. So what happened was I was doing the hip hop shtick for about a year and a half, 2 years, which I still listen to some hip hop. But when I was told that I don't have the education in hip hop to be able to cover it, well, that shouldn't be my fault. And the hip hop you're wanting to educate me on is not my style of music. I don't want to do something that I don't want to cover something that I'm not passionate about. I don't want to talk about things that I'm not passionate about. That's a fact. So here's where the issues lie. What do you do in that sense? Like what happens when you decide that you're going to switch it up? So when I was reminded by them shitting on the music that made Sid Jones in the first place, like this book was made out of beer, cocaine, and punk rock. That is what made Sid Jones. Those are the key ingredients to Sid Jones. And that's a fact. And I've told that story on numerous occasions. I'm not going to repeat that story. So then Bob Rocks and the entire team over at Rocks TV decided to shit on my music that I like. And that's when I decided to get the hawk and the vest back. And I never went back. I was reminded that I had sold my soul, that I had sold out. That's something that I did. Am I proud of it? No, but I'm appreciative and I'm grateful for the realization that is what I did. So I went back to my roots when people started turning around saying I looked like I was wearing a Halloween costume. I said, you don't understand. I was doing this years ago. And even Bob Rocks looked me dead in the eyes and said, I would not have hired you had I had known about all the mohawk and the vest thing. I'd have never brought you onto my team. Then you didn't do your homework, bruh. And this wouldn't have happened had you not pissed me off. But now I stay angry because anger is an aesthetic. It is an energy. And more importantly, it's what defines Sid Jones. So that to me is very important. Now, I went from wearing this vest that people were shitting on to having it fucking immortalized here behind me as a gift because I launched a network and there was a gentleman named Jerry Howell who was kind enough to for this gift that I didn't purchase this from the guy. He gifted this to me. And this is from Grains of Chaos trailer, the one that my friend Jake did. Again, I started off doing Dissent is Not Treason, where it was supposed to be a coming of age story. It was supposed to be, real to life. And instead, Fast and Furious to my entire franchise. Does that mean I sold out? No, I'm passionate about it. I liked what I did. And as a matter of fact, there was a version of Grains of Chaos I fucking loathe. There was a version of Grains of Chaos 275 pages deep. And I said, fuck this book. I fucking hate it. And I never published it. Never published it. Why? Because it's not what I wanted. It wasn't the best that I could do, and it wasn't the story that I wanted to tell. That's why. That's how you know you didn't sell out, because I'm like, fuck it. A little bit of money here. People will love it. No. I gotta stand behind it. Now, with Eaten Alive was an accident, but it was kind of one of those things where if it doesn't do well, I can always get rid of the book. But it did well, and I was able to work with it. So that's an evolutionary stage where there's a lot of projects, Nevermind from Nirvana, one of the most celebrated albums in music history, as well as it should be. But it's an album that Nirvana fucking hates because it didn't have that sound that they had wanted. But that doesn't make it a sellout album, does it? Or does it? So let's analyze this real quick. You do an album. It's not what you wanted it to be. The record label still puts it out. The band doesn't like it, but you've signed a deal with the devil. We all enjoy it. We all enjoy a little bit of Smells Like Teen Spirit. And the story behind that song is actually rather interesting. So is that a sellout album? It still got released. We liked it. But do you listen to an album, think that it's great, and then hate the band for it? And this is where it becomes murky water. And this is where the art of selling out comes into play. It ultimately, anyone can call anybody a sellout. We throw words and names around in today's modern era. We throw words around. Words like echo chamber have become one of those trendy words. Uncertain times has become a trendy phrase that we use. We beat words to death. Relevant, relatable. I fucking hate the word relatable simply because it's been beaten like a dead fucking horse. So, the more that I break this down and the more that I look at this, the art of selling out would be selling yourself out, and that comes to a line of integrity. Now, we used to think that it's when a band becomes popular or they sign a deal or they negate their fans and things of this nature. So one of the hip hop duos in Detroit that's actually being accused of selling out would be Twisted. So that's going to be a key component in all of this. We're also going to be talking about the Dropkick Murphys. We're also going to be talking about Green Day. Now, I love the Dropkick Murphys. I do. And I think that is the worst example that people say of punk rock bands that sold out. They didn't. They grew and evolved. As a matter of fact, their music, in my opinion, gets better and better and better. Aside from 11 Short Stories of Pain and Glory, it was a good album. It was good, but nothing to that of Signed and Sealed in Blood and Going Out in Style. You can't hold a candle to those two albums. And if you dare tell me Do or Die was the best album out of all of them, and you say that was far superior than Signed and Sealed in Blood and Going Out in Style, you can leave this live stream now. Because you're wrong. You're flat out wrong. Their later production, their later sound, it's so much fucking better. Now, 11 Short Stories of Pain and Glory, it's got great tracks on it. As a matter of fact, I reference them in a lot of my books. In fact, the last chapter of this book is called Until Next Time, which is off of their song, off of 11 Short Stories of Pain and Glory. Until Next Time. Great track, great song. Green Day, for example. They got more popular, and they did an album called American Idiot, and people said that was their sellout album. Other people would say that Dookie was their sellout album, or Warning was their sellout album. And honestly, I didn't care enough to really break down whether or not it was sellout music. But when it came down to Twisted, this is where it got interesting. There are people, after this whole tell-all with an interview with the Insane Clown Posse and Chris Hansen, they said that Twisted had sold out, They're trying to do the rock thing, and no one likes their new music. Jump Steady shat on their music. And I'm thinking, but you're trying something new, right? So those of you that don't remember, and you probably don't, I mean, fuck, it disappeared, and you probably can't even find it. But Vanilla Ice actually did a metal album. You probably didn't know that. But Vanilla Ice himself has done a metal album. So then I ask you this. If this is the case in today's era, in today's modern generation, where a band decides they want to try something different, do we not remember the time where Vanilla Ice did a metal album? MJ Baker says, "Hey Sid, how you doing, MJ Baker?" And Twiggy Dro writes, at Drowned Out Official, check your DM on Facebook. Nice. Rakim and Voting, trust us, we can make you money, sell out. Right. Now, here's one of the bastards of it all. That comes down to money, right? And that's another thing. It's like, oh, they did this for money or whatever. But that's not the case. If I got a multi-million-dollar deal tomorrow and they said, hey, you get to keep the mohawk, keep the vest, keep your attitude, there's nothing you got to change, we just want you to be a part of the network, I'll sign on that dotted line. I'll fucking do it. And for people to say that I sold out, no, I've already sold out and I'm not going back to that. It was a kind of a phase kind of thing, but I still see it to myself, again, integrity-wise internally, that I'd sold out. Going to shows that I really didn't much care for. Like, I know people like Bone Thugs and Harmony. That's great. And when one of the members of Bone Thugs and Harmony went on tour and I saw him at the Shelter, it wasn't my style of music. It just wasn't for me. That's not the hip-hop that I like. I just don't. And you can damn me for it. Be like, oh, but they are legends. And that doesn't mean I fucking like it. There's a bunch of bands out there that are fucking legendary that I'm like, I give fuck all about. Your status doesn't mean anything to me. Your music and your message means something to me. But Twisted wants to go do rock, and now they've sold out. But here's the murky water when it comes to Twisted. It seems and it appears that they want to leave the Juggalo world completely. Now that isn't selling out either. Okay, you've changed and you've grown, and that's what you got to remember. Is it doesn't matter if you're a music artist, if you're a director, a producer, or a podcaster. You're going to go through stages of evolutionary change. And that you grow. Like Monoxide Child, he's got an album, Chain Smoker. The motherfucker doesn't even smoke cigarettes anymore. So why is he called Monoxide Child? He doesn't smoke cigarettes. Well, he kept that name. Does that mean he sold out because he quit smoking cigarettes? No. It means he went, cigarettes are bad, okay, and then quit. So you can't say that caused him to sell out either. But here's where selling out comes to play. What you do is again, this is an art form of selling out. It's relative when you think about it. It all boils down to perception, and all boils down to your interpretation of selling out. But for me, and it's kind of interesting, isn't it, how it's now boiled down to that? Because it used to be we all kind of had an agreement on what selling out was, and now we kind of don't. It's a weird thing. It's a really weird concept that we can't seem to agree on anything, even the term selling out. So looking back at what I did, I'd say I sold out. Other people would say, no, Sid, you didn't sell out. You tried something new. You didn't do it to get signed. You didn't do it for whatever reason. You did it because you got the call to be part of the music industry and you decided that you were going to try this route. But that's not the case, in my honest opinion, about myself. And I think that an opinion of me counts for something until you tell people you're a nice guy, in which case it's not up to you to decide whether you're a nice guy, because I could sit there and walk up and down the street all damn day. Hey, I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. And people are going to be like, that's not for you to decide. I decide whether or not you're a nice guy because you have to live with yourself 24/7. It's ultimately up to me to go and tell others, because they're not going to listen to you because you have a biased concept of yourself. Isn't that interesting? John Out writes, oh my God, cringe, you listen to bands. I only listen to the birds outside. They're not major label sellouts. Thank you. And that's a prime example too. I mean, definitely satire for sure, but you got a point there where it's like, oh, this band got signed to that record label. Oh, they had enough money to go build their own empire and shit like that. Look at Psychopathic Records. They've already said they're not signing more artists. They sold out. Under what grounds? Because they changed, because they evolved, because they grew, because the times have changed. Listen, you don't get to make music like you used to. There's no promotion of music like there used to be. Think about this for a second. Back in 2009, if you were a music artist, that was fucking something. If you got plays on Pandora and Spotify, that's a fucking success. But now in 2020, I can go and release an EP. I can go do a single with Drowned Out. Don't ever let Sid Jones be on a track with you, ever. I can't hold a fucking note, even if it was in the palm of my hand. And it would be dog shit. But it wouldn't be a big deal either. I'd be like, hey, Sid Jones got a Spotify. Oh, fuck. Everyone's got one. It's not a big deal anymore. Life becomes kind of a bit of an algorithm in that sense, where it's climbing a ladder, taking opportunities, and so on. So the more that I look at this and the more that I wrap my head around this concept of selling out, the more that I realize it's hard to sell out these days. It really is. Like Lil Peep, he technically sold out because he blew up over SoundCloud. But he really loved his fans, and so did Dropkick Murphy, so did Rancid, so does Green Day, so does the Insane Clown Posse, and so does Twisted. Maybe. We're going to, again, that's kind of the major topic. But you love your fans, but they also spend money. So you're like, you love your fans because they spend money. Well, fans, if they like you, they're going to buy your shit. I sell patches. Does that mean I sold out? Like, come on now. Like, again, it's become such murky water. But the kicker is, the definition of selling out is, it's when somebody who no longer likes you calls you a sellout. Because people that like you aren't going to call you a sellout. Why? Because it's derogatory, because it's mean, because it's cruel. More importantly, it could be untrue. But if somebody doesn't like you, it's one of the things that they could say. Sid Jones, you sold out. Which is funny, because of all the things that people have ever said to me, some of the cruelest things that people have ever said to me, that was never one of the things that they had said. No one has ever called me a sellout except me. Now, that is an interesting concept. That is an interesting thing to kind of wrap your head around, isn't it? So with Twisted wanting to leave the Juggalo scene, which it's been very clear to everybody, and they haven't really talked much about what their plans are. Now, Monoxide Child did come out about a year or two ago, and he did say, we kind of want it to be inclusive with everybody, punk rock, metal, hip hop. Like, we just want all of it. We want all of it. We want to build this melting pot. I'm like, that's great. That is a great goal to have. But with your latest music, it's not going to work that way, man. And I can tell you this because I like rock music, and I love the idea of rock and hip hop coming together. If you don't believe me, go listen to the fucking Ludacris and Sum 41 combo song that they did for, it was like a power workout album or something that they had done. It was a track that was on there. I don't know. But that song is everywhere. It's called Get Back, and it's the rock version, and it is fucking amazing. You can combine rap and rock and have it sound fucking epic. Like, Get Back is a good song. Anyways, you throw some guitar and drums in there, it's fucking amazing. I don't care what band it is. Like, the fact that it's Sum 41 meant fuck all to me. It just sounds amazing, right? So I'm not a fan of Sum 41, but I like that song. I'm not a fan of In Too Deep. I don't like that song. It's not one of my things. But I still like that song, Fat Lip. I'm sorry, I still like that song, but I also like the Landmarks version better than Sum 41's because it sounds better. It's a little more heavy, and I like heavy music without the inaudible screaming. So, looking at what Twisted's doing in the direction they're heading in, I don't think they're selling out. I think that they're trying to change. But Juggalos can see it, and rightfully so that they're selling out because they feel like they're being abandoned. So if it's from an emotional place, not a logical place of selling out anymore, maybe as much as times have changed, so is the meaning of selling out. Maybe it has evolved a bit. Maybe, in my opinion, Twisted's not selling out. They're trying new waters, right? That's my perception. But to the Juggalos who were like, yo, we were like, fuck you, but you wanted all of our love. We gave you a love for the past 15 years, and then you stabbed us in the back. A lot of Juggalos feel that way. Are they right to feel that way? Who's to dictate that? And this is where you take drama that happens inside of celebrities' worlds and you kind of add a little bit of a biased twist to it. Now, you can take clips and respond to them, and you can play them. You can play them either front to back or out of context. There is no in between. If you just crop it, unless it's point to point and it's a finished point, then you're reporting on something. But all I have to do is take something from Twisted, take something from ICP, cut it into a certain way, and say, see, they said this. Well, you didn't fit it. No. I am reporting to you that this is what they had said. Yeah, but you didn't play it front to back. I'm aware of this. But this is my opinion, and this is my show. But I'm not going to do that. In case you haven't noticed, I don't cut shit down, right? But if there's a point that somebody makes that I approve of, I don't have to play the whole clip for you. I don't have to play the whole video for you. I can just play you that one section and say, I approve of this, and it's okay. But when you say something bad about somebody, oh, you got to play the whole clip or this is taken out of context and da-da-da-da. Again, this is our modern era of a fan base, essentially. You've got Green Day with the same thing, like, oh, they sold out, and it's hard to figure out what fucking sellout album it was. Do I find them to be the most punk rock band ever? There's a lot of their music I don't like. There's some of the ones that I do like. I like some Green Day songs. That doesn't mean I own their albums. It doesn't mean I've ever seen them live. There's just some songs that if I'm walking down the street and it comes up on my Spotify list and starts playing and I don't mind it, I fucking don't mind it. Until you're paying for my premium on Spotify, you don't really get to dictate what I listen to. Okay? Now, if you want to dictate what I listen to, feel free to send me $10 a month and I will, and you can then tell me what I can and cannot listen to. But nobody's going to do that. So, it's really not up to others what you listen to. It's not really up to others if somebody had sold out, but it's going to be. Okay, you're going to have a group of people that don't like you. Therefore, they're going to say that you sold out if they feel like they've been stabbed in the back. And that's how the art of selling out has been kind of married into modern society, is because of technology. It's because of social media, live videos. Everyone wants to be a news broadcaster. Everyone wants to be a podcaster. Everyone wants to report on these things. So honestly, the art of selling out comes down to this. It comes down to opinion, and it comes down to a bias. Now, if you like a band, again, you'd never call them a sellout. If you like me, you wouldn't call me a sellout, even though I flat out fucking called me a sellout on multiple times on this episode. You're not going to be able to change my opinion on that, but somebody else could have a different perception of it. And that's fine. But shouldn't it be about me that kind of matters, since I got to live with me 24/7? Now, if Daniel Dillinger met me, which he did, and he's like, hey, Sid Jones is a great guy. But then let's say Twiggy Dro meets me in person and goes, man, my boss is a fucking cunt. I fucking hate that guy. There's two different perceptions of you, right? Now, if I was to pick up a deal next week, which I'm picking up a deal next week, I'll be breaking that down for you guys at some point. Probably after everything is signed, after everything is worked out, I'll be bringing this news to you. But when I sign this contract next week, I'm curious. When I post the pictures and I post the announcement and release the news, are you going to turn around and call me a sellout now? And this is one of the reasons why I brought it up now, because I'm curious, honestly curious. Would you see me as a sellout if you don't like me? Or if you like me, would you say, Sid, congratulations, man, like you're in a great place right now, and I'm still staying here? Then no. But what if I abandon ship, right? Like, what if I abandon the Sid Jones Network completely? And it's the Sid Jones Network without Sid Jones. Did I sell out? Or did I simply bring that name elsewhere? Or did I just move up and in the hopes of building something for other people to move up? Now, if you're wondering if it's purpose, what is your reason for it? Then this is something that I can explain to you like this. And I've already said it earlier, so I'm going to say it again. If Twiggy got an opportunity, but he had to leave the network because it was a sole contract with him to work with Crit TV, and he's getting better pay, better opportunity, and things like that, I'd be happy for the guy. I would be. Would I call him a sellout to my network? No. The network is built to help people go and grow. That is what our process is here. It's like climbing that ladder. Look at what's happened with me in the past 4 years. I want to offer that same thing to others. That's what I want to do. Dano Dillinger writes, fucking sellout poser, fuck, cut off your mohawk and burn your battle vest. You know what's funny though? I never call it a battle vest. It's simply just a denim vest. How dare you try to make money to buy food? Exactly. And Daniel Dillinger's right. There are some people that think the same thing. If you are trying to do this as a living, you're a fucking sellout. Or if you're trying to do this for a living, you're living in your mom's basement. Well, I assure you, this is not my mother's basement. I don't think my mother would ever let me hang up a picture so glorious in the living room. And as you can tell, and I've told this people multiple times, like I've had people show up, they can vouch that if I had a fucking basement, I'd be fucking happy because I live in a fucking apartment in a fucking small dinky town, which has a bad reputation. And of course, Sid Jones lives in a town with a bad reputation in it. I'm like, yeah, I fucking didn't move here because of that reason, dicks. Anyway, would it be okay for me to go and sign this deal? And what would people think of it? What would people think of me signing this contract with somebody who's a rather big name in the music industry? Would you guys think that I'm a sellout? People that don't like me probably would. But I already made sure I got to keep my aesthetics. I got to keep my books. I got to keep my name. I got to keep the network. And I get to keep the asylum. I just get to add this on to what it is that I'm doing now. So basically, it's something that I'm doing that I'm adding to my workload. Now, some people could say, well, because you signed this deal with this major artist, you've technically sold out because it's not your style of music and this, that, and the other. But here's the kicker. I've been friends with this person. I actually do like that music from in which this person has produced. I rather fucking do. This person is a major name and has a lot of connections with people that I'm actually really close with as well. So it's kind of like a network. So if you've ever seen me doing my interviews back over at Rock TV, if you've ever seen me doing my thing with other artists and doing these interviews and things like that, I've always kind of stayed true to what it is that I do. But when I realized I wasn't happy doing it anymore, and I'm glad it happened, was the Whitney Payton interview. I wanted that interview for years. For years, I wanted that interview. That was the interview that I would have killed for. And when we met and did the interview, we didn't jive. Like, the chemistry was not there. Like, the energy was like, we didn't know what to think of each other. And you could see it clear as day. And it's an edited interview. The fact that it's been edited should tell you everything you need to know. But when Whitney Payton and I had that sit down, we didn't talk afterwards. We didn't hang out afterwards. We don't text. We don't talk. She didn't share the interview. And it's kind of one of those, like, I don't fucking blame her. Now, I turned around and said I interviewed Whitney Payton. And I did. And I did it because I wanted to. And then afterwards, and then listening to her new music and things like that, like when she was doing Keyed Up, I saw what she was trying to do, again, going into a different direction. And I don't think that she had really sold out. I think that she had grown and that she had changed. And we all kind of do that. Look at her hair now. Different from way like 8-10 years ago when I was starting to listen to her music. Her hair is very much different. As a matter of fact, she's kind of going the punk rock route. It's almost like she met Sid Jones and went, I kind of like that style. She might have. I don't fucking know. But I'm not going to take credit for it. And more importantly, another thing that I'm not going to do is assume that this chick likes me because, again, you ever meet somebody and you're like, oh, we're cool, we're all right, like, things are fine. And it just fucking doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, it's kind of where we're at least with Whitney Payton and I. And if we saw each other, I'm sure we'd be friendly. It's not like we fucking hate each other. We've got beef or whatever. Although that would be kind of cool to have beef with Whitney Payton. That'd be a really cool, like, little thing. She likes Cardi B. I think Cardi B is trash. And that was cut out of the interview. And I was trying to, like, rile it up. But when I did that interview, I realized I was kind of, like, quote unquote burned out of doing hip hop. I realized that was going to be the last time I ever wanted to do something like that. But I still work with people that are involved in hip hop. I still work with hip hop rappers and producers that I really like. But that's the other thing too. I also told people this, and I got into fights with people on my network when they were trying to book me for interviews. And I says, listen, I'm going to cover bands that I want to cover. I will cover artists that I want to cover. It could be out of mass demand. And I'd be like, fine, if this many people really want to see this interview, but I always have this in my head. I could do this for others. I could have 5,000 signatures on a different petition to interview fucking somebody, some rapper, right? I wouldn't even be convinced. I'm like, listen, you're not even going to be that fucking invested. You're just wanting to make a demand. Again, this whole cancel culture thing, it's kind of like this. We want change and we want to see how much power we've got. Because once I do that interview, ain't no 5,000 views happening. No matter how many signatures there are. Yeah, finally you got it. It's going to be like, what, 600-700 at best. And everyone's just going to be like sharing it out. See, he did the interview because I told him to. It's a power trip. And there's nothing to do with you want to see this interview. It's got everything to do with demand and how much power you've got. That's the world we live in now. Nobody's going to really give a shit, which is why I feel like that's kind of like time to take it to your own reins. Like if people were telling Twisted, hey, you got to get back with the Insane Clown Posse, I'm like, fucking, I don't want to do that shit. I don't want to go back and work with Psychopathic Records. Like I don't want to go backwards. And that in their mind, it could be what it is. The Psychopathic Records is going backwards for them. Who's to say that that's not the case, man? And by saying no, like if there was about a cash and money and things like that, and they did it, wouldn't that in turn make them a sellout? That's an interesting thing to think about, isn't it? We got Big Brain Bay saying morning. Good morning to you, Big Brain Bay. Good morning. I like that, Big Brain Bay. That should be the name of a song. That's the name of a country song right there. Big Brain, Big Brain Bane. I think that's a great song. That's excellent. Somebody should cut that up, make it into a track. We'll go platinum. We'll go multi-platinum. We could sell out together. So if you think that going to a record label is a sellout move, it's not. It's simply growth. But when you're forced to abandon somebody, some people would have the right to say that you sold out. But in going backwards, such in the case with Twisted, if they went back to Psychopathic Records out of mass demand and they didn't want to and did it anyways, that would ultimately make them a sellout. So it's interesting. They sold out, but if they reached your demand, they would also be selling out. So they've sold out twice in their career. That would be a really... So they got to kind of stay on this yellow brick road that they had built themselves, right? I mean, that's how I view it. And again, I see myself as I sold out years ago and then went back to my roots, right? And there's a song about that. It came out and it was actually rather popular. This was before like mumble rap really blew up. I'm going back to my roots, a little hey, a little low, a little, or however the fucking song went. And that played at Planet Fitness all the fucking time. And I quit Planet Fitness. Does that mean I sold out? You left that place and you wanted to go and break out on your own. You abandoned Planet Fitness. You sellout. I'm not going back down that road. But here's the kicker. Planet Fitness, they've changed completely. Like going in there, there's nobody there that I worked with when I started. There's nobody that works there anymore when I left. It's all new people. Did Planet Fitness sell out? Oh, well, now you're just splitting hairs. Am I, though? Or am I using your logic against you? Anyone that ain't happy for your progress needs to be cut loose. But I'm saying, like, there's nobody in my crew that's not happy for the direction we're headed. When I've made the calls to some certain individuals and told them this is the contract that I'm about to sign, they were ecstatic. They didn't feel like they were being abandoned. They didn't feel like that I was leaving the network. They just said, what days are they going to be? Are you still going to keep your days? Are you changing your schedule? Like, what's going on? Of course, they have the right to ask those questions. Of course they do. Of course they do. I would ask those questions about myself as well. Like, okay, how am I going to pull this off? Is this going to be a contradiction to what I'm already doing? Is this going to collide with anybody that I work with? Are there business partners that I might lose because of this? And that's the funny part of it. And that's where you really get down to the grain of it. If you think of it like this, if Sid Jones, right, takes this deal, which I'm going to, there's no question about it. I'm signing the contract next week. When I take this deal and somebody says, oh, I don't like this person, Sid, so it's either them or me, you threw down the gauntlet, motherfucker. And I've always said this since I was yay tall. So about 6 years ago. Since I was about yay tall, I would tell people this. I would say, listen, if you throw down the gauntlet, that's it. Like, if you're the one that throws down the gauntlet and gives me the ultimatum, I'm going the exact opposite way. That, in turn, could also be a sellout move. What if it was somebody I was friends with for 15 years? What if I was friends with somebody for 15 years and they said, if you make this deal, Sid Jones, that is it? Well, that would depend, wouldn't it? Did this person beat the shit out of my friend from 15 years back? The person I'm signing this contract with, the answer is no. They've never even met. They don't even know that the other one exists, I'm sure. Or maybe my best friend knows that this person exists. But I've been friends with this person now for, 11 years? And I'm going to be the best man at his wedding. Every time I've told him something, he's always been excited for it. Always. Hey, man, I decided I'm ditching this and going to the punk rock route. Cool, man. Hey, man, I'm going to try out this hip-hop scene. Hey, man, cool. Like, there is no, so to this guy, if somebody said, oh, Sid Jones sold out, in his brain, he's going to be like, how? You could explain it to him. You could write it down for him. You could take one of those whiteboards and draw a little diagram, like one of those conspiracy boards. And he still wouldn't fathom the fact. He still wouldn't in his head say, I don't understand how he sold out. But if I explained it to him on how I feel like I sold out, he would say, I guess I kind of understand that, but hey, it's whatever. He wouldn't give a shit. Why? Because there's cognitive bias. My family would never see it as me selling out. They, again, couldn't wrap their hands around it, cognitive bias. Or even uncognitive. Like maybe it's one of those things that they don't even realize. Maybe it's a subconscious thing with them. So really, it's relative. So did Green Day sell out? To the people that don't like them? Yes. To their fans? No. What if people said that, yeah, they sold out, but I'm still down with them? All right. Again, it's a matter of degree is ultimately what it is. And that's the art of selling out. Now, if you want to sell out, all you have to do is there's a few steps you have to do. Number one, you got to change your entire appearance, right? You got to make it a big deal of it. You got to make sure that you're standing next to some of the biggest names that people fucking loathe. Case in point, let's say Trey Pound. Oh yeah, we're going this route. Let's go Trey Pound. So Trey Pound, who does rap music, underground rap music, not even necessarily for the Juggalos, but he does have some Juggalos track out there, and there's some Juggalos out there that listen to his music. And he's a rather damn good artist. And he did a feature with Shaggy Tudo, blah, 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 right? Now, let's say next week, while I'm signing this contract, Trey Pound standing next to Tekashi 6ix9ine, right? And now he's got rainbowed hair and he's got the fucking mouthpiece that's got all the different colors in it. He's got face tattoos and shit. And he's standing there next to Tekashi 6ix9ine. He says, I'm working with Tekashi 6ix9ine. Big things coming. Hashtag new team. Hashtag brotherly love. Hashtag rainbow gang. Like, whatever the fuck Trey Pounds wants to put out. That is a great way of getting people to say that you sold out. Now, here's the kicker with this, though, right? Let's say he did that. Let's say he went through all that, made it with Tekashi 6ix9ine. They made magic music together, right? Let's say that it's just like you end up liking Tekashi 6ix9ine because of Trey Pound. Now, the majority of his fans would say that's a fucking sellout move. But to the people that truly support him, the diehards would say that's dope. Again, it's all about bias and perception. And that's a fact. You can cut this however you want. But when it comes to selling out, there's no longer an exact definition of it anymore. It's all about hate. And it's all about love. It's all about diehard fans. It's all about love no matter what. Like diehard Bruins fans. I don't care who the team members are. I don't even know I can't name you a single current roster member who's on the Bruins team, but I still like the Bruins. But I got nothing. Like you hear that and you're like, so a hockey fan, they'd be like, oh, that is ridiculous. How can you call yourself a Bruins fan? And then they're going to break it all down for you. They're going to say I'm a poser. Isn't that interesting? It's all about the opposition. It's all about the opposite person. And that is the art of selling out. So everyone's got their own definition of it, but it also matters on one thing. Do you like them or do you hate them? So people that hate Twisted, they sold out. And there's nothing they can do to prove otherwise. Again, cognitive bias. Same with Insane Clown Posse. I thought that their fucking new music was absolute dog shit, as do other juggalos, I come to find out, which is really shocking to me, that they think that some of their new music is absolute trash. Does that mean they sold out? Does that mean they were bored of doing that shit, wanted to try something new? We don't know, because they never said why they did it. They just said that they fucking did it. And to the diehard juggalo fans, they've got that song, I'm Gonna Be Down, or whatever that song is. Off of Great Malenko, and they're like, yeah, man, what if I'm 30 and I grow like 2 heads and this, that, and the other? I'm gonna be down no matter what. Okay, so now you've definitely got cognitive bias there. And they did tracks with Snoop Dogg. They went platinum with Jekyll Brothers. Did they sell out? Was that their sellout album? And that's another term that's really annoying the shit out of me. That was their sellout album. But was it? Because I'm pretty sure I Want My Shit, and which is a great song, by the way. I'm pretty sure that I can listen to the Amazing Jekyll Brothers and be like, yeah, no, that still sounds like ICP to me. Sure, that's how they blew up, but you also got to remember, Malenko also helped them blow up with the features they had, Slash and Steve Jones and so on. Violent Ed, thank you. Yeah, Violent Ed. Like I said, I haven't listened to that song in fucking forever, but I grew up listening to it. That was one of the songs I grew up. Sid Jones doesn't listen to Great Malenko anymore. The sellout. Oh, I'm sorry. What was that? No. Can you tell that to them? Yeah, no, I'll let them know. The hatchet man on my arm just said, fuck what you think. Now, has the music changed? Absolutely. Has my love for the music changed? Probably a little bit. Are there songs that I didn't like back in the day that I do like now, and then songs that I did like that I don't like now? Of course there are. I used to like the song Halls of Illusions, and then I got kind of bored of it because I over-listened to it. So now I actually kind of like Voodoo, Running from a Magic. I was like, fuck, I'll listen to that. I remember when that came on when I played the ICP Backyard Brawl games. I know. I'd sit there and play that, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Like, the more I hear the song, the more I'm like, fuck yeah, man. And that's what it was like for the Dropkick Murphys with me. Like, there was like 3 or 4 songs that I liked off of the 2002 Live on St. Patty's Day album. And then all of a sudden it was like 5 or 6 songs. Oh, I still don't like John Law. I still can't get behind that song. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. I don't like how it sounds. I don't like it. But there's a couple of Dropkick Murphy. Echoes on A Street is my least favorite Dropkick Murphy song of all time. What is the worst Murphy song? Echoes on A Street. Fucking annoying. I fucking hate that song. I fucking hate it, and I'd like to pretend that it doesn't exist. But they've also got, 15 albums? They kind of earn their right to have a couple of fucking missteps. All right? And that's where I stand on it. So does ICP have songs that I don't fucking like? Yeah, like The Tower. I fucking hated that and the music video. It was so hot that day. Climbed up in the tower. It was trash. It was bad. The whole thing was bad. I even listened to it like 5 or 6 times to see if I'd like it. I'm like, nope, it's still to me. I fucking don't like The Tempest. I don't think there's a single song on there that I listen to, even if I was a serial killer. Like it kind of like gets the gets the river going a little bit. The water starts to run just slightly when they play that song live. And it also depends on like the situation you're in. Now, I could say all this stuff. Wait, one second. Public Citizens Limited writes 80s punks are all other types of alternative music. That's an interesting take. I mean, but everything's kind of like all alternative, right? Like, what is alternative? Like, that's kind of like a broad spectrum. We should actually break that down next. So, like, time and place, I guess. Like, when I was at Big Ballas, a place that I've always wanted to be at growing up was I want to see the magic that happens inside of Psychopathic Records. I've always wanted to be in that office, always. I picture it. I mean, I had daydreams about working with these guys when I was like 13, 14, 15 years old. That was my dream job, is to work for them and to be inside that building. And lo and behold, I get to hang out with Shaggy Two Dope on numerous occasions, and I got to be inside that place. And I went in there as a journalist, not even as like a fan. Like, I wasn't like giddy or anything like that. Matter of fact, you can see me on the podcast on there where I actually sat across from Rude Boy and Keegan. And we played a game of Does Psychopathic Records Know? Or Does Psychopathic Know? Or something to that effect. One of those games. And then I went and did interviews. And then I'd start like, asking people questions because you couldn't bring cameras in. You couldn't bring in your cell phones. And if you did have your cell phones on, you had to keep in your pocket at all times. I don't think they confiscated them. I don't think they did. I think we went outside and like checked the time or whatever. And when we go out for a cigarette. But anyways, I remember going in there and like taking pictures or I had somebody else take the pictures. And I just went in with a small little notebook and took notes and wrote down the track listing and noticed some things. And if I was a serial killer played and I watched Violent J for the first time ever, get off that stage and start singing with the Juggalos, I'm like, well, that kind of changed my opinion on the guy. And then it made me wonder, why doesn't he do that more? And if you go read that article over at Rocks TV, I was kind of curious as to why he smiled that night, because there was already a night one and I got to go for night two, which was the original night one, but they decided to add on another night instead of it being the night after. It was the night prior. He just had this like random smile on his face. I'm like, what is that smile? What does that smile mean? And then it dawned on me. By the end of it all, what it meant to him. And I was like, Christ, he's really emotionally invested in this. And I see in his interviews, like it was almost like a realization that had happened. Was I proven wrong? Absolutely. I'm proven wrong a lot of times, but you want to know a little secret? I'm addicted to that feeling. That is my cocaine. That is my drug of choice, is being proven wrong on something, learning something new, having somebody that's savvy enough to kind of verbally box with Sid Jones, to kind of have a parlay with me slightly on a podcast, one that could take jabs back, one that's got quips. If I meet a woman like that is that prime, I'm marrying her and giving her all my children and all of her orifices. That is what's happening. And this, ladies and gentlemen, brings me to this point. We're going to get to the alternative rock here in a second. I wasn't expecting to keep going, but we're going to. So when I look at that, did ICP sell out after Bang Pow Boom and things like that? No, it seems like Violent J still is emotionally invested into his fan base. So if I'm thinking to myself, well, then in my opinion, he didn't sell out. But then Twisted doesn't seem emotionally invested into that fan base. I also have to look at the fact that fan base kind of turned on them because they see him see Twisted as a sellout. So it kind of puts me in an interesting spot where I'm like, but technically speaking, you guys could have sold out Twisted in that kind of a perception, couldn't you have? Public Citizens Limited writes, I will be your enemy. Cottonmouth Kings, the guy Brad X comes from 80s punk doggy style. Fuck modern music. I actually like some of the modern music. Have you heard Billy Talent? Which, by the way, is not a new band. So when people say bands like Billy Talent are pop rock, I'm here to tell you, if you think that you don't like the old band Pez, because Billy Talent is Pez. They just got to cease and desist on using that name. Now they have to go under the name Billy Talent. I know. Fuck Billy Talent. So you don't like Pez? Oh, Pez is great. Yeah, but Billy Talent's still Pez. What? Yeah, that's a fact. Did they sell out? No, they fucking continued on and they got a cease and desist and they just changed the name of their band. Fucking sellouts. They didn't want to get sued. Ugh. Sellouts always get sued or something to that regardless effect. And actually, I was friends with one of the guys from Cottonmouth King, Saint Dog. We followed each other on Instagram, had some conversations and so on. And I never had an issue with Cottonmouth Kings or Saint Dog. Saint Dog was he was actually upset that I didn't get to go to the what was the name of that venue? God damn it. It's one of my favorite venues too. Why can't I think of it? Harpo's. Thank you. Harpo's Theater in Detroit. I didn't get to hang out with him there and he was a little upset and I was double booked that day. And I'm sad because, he passed away and I kind of took that for granted. And it messed with me a little bit. But, rest in peace, Saint Dog. Like, I fucks with you. Like, for life, dude. Real shit. Now, I'm not a fan of their music. I never got into that stoner music. I just like, there's some stoner songs that I like. But I'm not a stoner, so I really can't, rally behind it in a sense. It's because that would make me a poser, would it not? Like, oh man, have you heard this new smoker song? It's like, but Sid, you don't smoke weed. If you smoke weed, you have panic attacks. Still a good song, man. I still like how it sounds and stuff. Yeah, but you don't get to listen to it because you're not a stoner. Kind of a fucked up perception. But I actually understand that. So if you know me and you've hung out with me or whatever, and you know that I don't smoke pot, and you catch me listening to a smoker's song, you're going to be like, this dude doesn't even take Tylenol. Like, what the fuck is he doing listening to songs about lean and drugs and shit like that? Like, what the fuck, dude? Fucking sellout. So going back to the Twisted perspective, because again, I got nothing but love for Cottonmouth Kings as far as individuals go, and as far as how doing some noise music and so on. I got to give them a salute. It's just not my style of music. It's just not my thing. But when I look at Twisted's new music, I don't like it either. When I call them sellouts, I think they're trying something new. But again, I haven't been emotionally invested into Twisted. I own right now 0 Twisted albums. 0. I own 0. But growing up, I had Abominations. Which was excellent. I loved that album. Fuck what you guys think. Abominations was the shit. So I rather liked Abominations. And I owned their 420 Smokers album. And I actually liked their song Get Wasted. It was like the part 3 or part 4 that was on there. Anyways, that was solid because it just had the fucking rock sense to it, and they had some good features on it. So I liked listening to it. And I do get wasted, and I do get shit faced, and that's kind of what the song was about. Get wasted on whether it is pot, drugs, alcohol, whatever. Just fucking get wasted was the message of that song, and I fuck with it. I'm like, yeah, it sounds good, and I've been trashed. I've been fucking shit faced on podcasts before, so yeah, I can kind of get behind it. I'm actually allowed to listen to it without being called a fucking poser. So I had that album, and I actually and they actually did a cover of the Joker, and it was fine. It was good, and I liked it. And apparently they'd done it before. And Crazy McCormick educated me on Twisted, and I didn't know. It was kind of like my first time listening to any of these songs. And he goes, "Yeah, no, there's like 2 new songs on there. Other than that, it's all from their previous albums." I'm like, oh, well, I fucking didn't know that because I'm not emotionally and financially invested into Twisted. Now, when it came to Guerrilla Voltage and the Last American Rock Stars, as you guys see depicted on this T-shirt here, they parted ways. I'm not thinking they sold out. I'm thinking that Bizarre and Gordy have always had a long history of doing brief projects, splitting up, going and doing other shit. This, that, and the other. I've always seen Gordy kind of like split off and like he's got his hands in a bunch of cookie jars and people want him in their cookie jar, ladies. And it makes sense to me. Bizarre, same way. He's doing work with this guy. He's doing work with this guy, doing features, doing mixtapes, things like that. Do Bizarre and I get along on a basis? I don't talk to the guy. Do Gordy and I still talk? I mean, I wish. But Gordy and I aren't like really doing business together anymore, and we just kind of fell apart. After I left Rocks TV, I kind of didn't know where I stood with everybody, minus Sick Fucks, and I don't even fuck with Jimmy Don lately, and I feel bad because Jimmy Don's always been good to me. King Gordy's always been good to me. It's not like I got beef with them or anything like that. But when you're focused on your own projects and you kind of like branch away from each other, that's kind of how I see the Twisted ICP thing. Is they had like an emotional falling out. And I apparently like ruthless demands and such. But me as a listener, you got to think I wasn't there for that conversation. I wasn't there for that. I was simply walking back from, I think I was walking back from the unemployment office when I was working in New Hampshire. Because in the wintertime, fucking hard to get a job. And when I was walking back, I got the text message that Twisted left the label. So while they had their combustible elements in the office, I'm just a kid listening to music, getting a text message on a cold walk back home that Twisted left the label. So I don't have that in my head. I mean, now that I do because I watched that interview. But at the same time, I'm like, why should that change my perception on everything? Do I think that sucks? Yeah, maybe. But friends have falling outs all the time. Why would that, don't tell me how to spend my money. Like, if I like somebody's music or whatever the fuck, I shouldn't have to justify that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, pretty much sums up the art of selling out. Is it's simply perception. If it's a popular band, they sold out. If bands change their sound, they sold out. If bands decided they're going to twist this around and say, fuck this, whatever, sellouts. But if you like a band, do you call them sellouts? No, they got popular. Like I can't go back and like figure out when exactly Flogging Molly got popular, but I can tell you when the Dropkick Murphys got popular, and that was Shipping Up to Boston. And I'm tired of hearing that song because I hear it all the time. And again, as the example that I've used before, if I'm sitting across the table from a beautiful woman, candlelit dinner, waiter comes over, cloth over his arm, really all professional and nice and well dressed. And he says, can I get you guys anything else? And I says, yeah, would you get a slice off a piece of that apple pie for the lovely lady? And then I'll take another fucking cheeseburger because cheeseburgers are fucking delicious. And she's cutting into that apple pie, and I'm about to pick up that burger and take a delicious bite out of it. And I look at her and I says, so what is the best Dropkick Murphys song? In your opinion, your favorite Dropkick Murphys song, and is your favorite Dropkick Murphys song, in your opinion, the best one, or are they two different songs? And if she ever replied, I really like their song Shipping Up to Boston, I would politely set my burger down, excuse myself from the table, and I would leave and pay the waiter on my way out. Like, that is what I would do, because a woman like that, you don't need women like that in your life who think that Shipping Up to Boston is the greatest Dropkick Murphys song of all time, because that tells me one thing and one thing only: it's the only song they know from the Dropkick Murphys, and that relationship's just not going to work. It's not going to work. But I will say this: if I had these conversations with jugglers, like, oh, did you hear this song? And da 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 da. Like I did a basic bitch top 10 of Insane Clown Posse songs. I'm like, but it was my fucking top 10. It was my top 10. Like, if you don't like my top 10, you can write your own top 10. Or you can call me out and say, I didn't like her, which means you really didn't like my opinion, which means you said that I was wrong. When really, a lot of those songs were their popular songs. So honestly, in their top 10s, it makes sense. I didn't say how it was graded. I didn't say how I decided they were the top 10 best songs of all time. But at least I listed 10 of them, and at least I had reason for it. And second of all, more importantly, I'm a dude in a studded vest and a mohawk. To the Juggalos, I have no right to even listen to an ICP album. In their opinion, I shouldn't even be bumping that music. If I was sitting there and I'm listening to fucking Psychopathic Riders, or I'm listening to Dark Lows, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, and I'm like rocking out to the song and shit, they would probably beat the shit out of me. Honest to Christ, they'd be like, you don't deserve to listen to that music. And there's a lot of diehard fans that are like that. Like, I'm like, oh, I like Sabaton. Well, what did you think of Smoking Snakes? I think Smoking Snakes is fine. I'm actually prefer Winged Hussar. Oh, of course you'd prefer the Winged Hussar. It's one of the most popular songs. It would be a repeat of that. We would see a lot of that. And we do. We actually do. Like we hold music near and dear. Like, I'm surprised there's been no World War III that's been based on music. Two fucking guys sitting in a cave. Wow, Sid, that was oddly racist. And they're like sitting there and they've got their AK-47s in the corner, their own flags have been deteriorated and whatnot. And they got a camel on the outside. And they're like, so, what is your favorite band? Oh, my favorite band? I really like fucking Molly. Who's your favorite band? I actually really like the Bouncing Souls. Bouncing Souls is not music! And then they declared a fucking war. Right. That's why I'm surprised that there's been no fucking but there's been bad blood between Twisted fans and ICP fans. There has been that. And that shows you just how fucking now picture this, if you will. You've got Twisted fans, right? You got Juggalos, right? And they don't like each other. And some of the fans are actually kind of music artists over on the Twisted side, and over here it's just fans that got podcasts that they fucking can't stand these guys. And so they collide. And this isn't a for instance. This is a legitimate thing that happens in the Juggalo world. For those of you that are not familiar, this is what happens. And then if somebody from, let's say, we'll call it L. So label L gets involved and there's a fight between somebody's roadie and shit like that. Now all of a sudden it's, well, which side are you on? And then they're like, oh, we're on our side, but technically we like these guys over here. You're like, well, fuck that, and fuck you guys too. So now this side's starting to get slightly bigger, and you start to see this kind of grow into a war zone just slightly. But then something weird happens. If let's say Guerrilla Voltage, Less American Rockstars, and Gmoski leave Magic Ninja Entertainment, which they did, and people are like, oh shit, well they left the label, so yeah, now I'm kind of cool with them because they're no longer with them, so fuck those guys, and we're cool over here. So if they ever decide to like kind of swing by, come roll with us, come hang out the gathering with us, like we're cool. But over on this side, it's like, no, we're still cool. We'll still do business, things like that. But I figured out what the key is to why the Juggalos don't like Magic Ninja so much. And I figured it out. And it's that they don't know what's going on over here. They like Psychopathic Records because that's the music they grew up with. Psychopathic Records remain the same, stayed in their corners, always did shit for the Juggalos, never abandoned them. So they feel like that's their home. And Juggalos will tell you some of the most emotional stories of their lives. I've heard them all on their emotional stories with Psychopathic Records. So for them, it's everything. The music saved my life. The Insane Clown Posse helped me meet my best friend in the entire world, which is my case. Because of ICP, I got to meet Steve, and he was my best friend for years until he passed away. So that is my story on ICP. And I never once have I heard a Juggalo say, well, you owe your life to them. But I have had people say, you only rock that tattoo because of your best friend. Boy, I'll cut your fucking throat. And I've gotten into fights over that shit with Juggalos. Yeah, we don't always get along. I like some of the Juggalos. We're straight. But there's some of the Juggalos that if I ever met them, it's on fucking sight. And that's a promise. Like, I've had to get pride away from motherfuckers for saying some shit like that. Because that's foul, dude. That's fucking foul. But before we get too intense with that, I'd like to discuss the alternative music that this gentleman brought up. Now, everything's kind of alternative. If it's rock, right? Like, this is what I don't understand. If it's rock, right? It's like rock music. Well, you got to establish what is rock, what is classic rock. Is Ozzy Osbourne rock metal, or is he classic rock? Well, can he be classic rock and metal? Can Black Sabbath be classic rock and metal? Is Black Sabbath classic rock and metal? So it's all these different subcategories, right? Now, if it's rock that is alternative to the popular music, I would say that's alternative rock. But even Nickelback, if you look up Nickelback, he's alternative rock. Think about that for a second. Nickelback is considered alternative. Does that hold up? Does this gentleman's definition of alternative rock hold up? It is alternative rock, just another version of selling out. Is it a term for selling out? Like, if you call yourself a certain genre, have you sold out? And again, I don't think it matters, because I could do everything by the books. You could write out guidelines. This is how you don't sell out. But here's the problem. If along that way you disappoint anybody, you could be a sellout. I'm sure somebody like Bobby Cunt Doe would say that Sid Jones sold out the hip-hop community. I still do work in the hip-hop community. That is your opinion because you fucking hate me. And if I ever see you, I'll probably cut your throat. Like, no joke. I've got a karambit. I'll slit your fucking throat. I fucking hate you. And when I look at all these other motherfuckers that fucking can't stand me, oh, you left Rox TV, so you fucking sold out. The only people that say that are the people that work at Rox TV. I mean, what the fuck? Like, I'm continuing to do what I do. So, there is that. But again, all opinion. That is what it boils down to. There's no fact. There is no dictionary definition of selling out. I mean, there probably used to be, but we don't even abide by the dictionary anymore. We live in a day and age where we make up our own fucking words. And that's a fact. So, I now ask the question, am I wrong? Do you think I'm wrong? Did I define selling out to a T? I'd like to think I did. I'd like to think that I have offered a very good thesis statement on the art of selling out and what it means. And Jim Baker writes, Bobby Doe can't give an opinion with a dick in his mouth or a 45. He wants to aspire to be like one of these rap artists so bad. I'll put him out like a Nipsey Hussle. They can have something in common. At least Nipsey Hussle had fans. Oh, I'm an asshole. And that's never changed. I've said ruthless, vile shit before, and I'll stand by it. If somebody ever asks me, Sid, why did you say something like that? I'm like, because I fucking meant it. But like, what the fuck do you want from me? You want an apology? I've apologized maybe on 4.5 occasions. Because sometimes I'll apologize without apologizing, right? But very seldom do I apologize for anything I do and say. Now, if you want a victory, Juggalos, if you want a victory over Sid Jones, Go and watch my video of when he pushed me. So that is something. He pushed me after I tried to apologize. Hip hop's not violent, but I'm going to shove Sid Jones down to the ground. That's what I'll do. You can totally sell out. I know I can sell out. I mean, like I said, in my opinion, at one point I already did sell out. You know, I could call that my sellout year, right? Like everyone's got a sellout album. I had my sellout year was when I worked with Rox TV until 2019. So there's that. There's some potential there, I feel like. The sellout year, like, but that's the kicker. Nobody's brought it up, but they could. They could. And as I said, people that don't like me, they probably said it behind my back because they wouldn't have the balls to say it to my face because I can actually stand my own ground and they fucking can't. And that's a fact. That is a cold hard fact. Those that don't like you will call you a sellout, right? Or people that like you would probably acknowledge the fact that by somebody else's definition, you sold out and they're still going to like you regardless. To compromise your artistic integrity to make a dollar is the definition of selling out. Bands do it all the time in modern music. Just look at Hinder and Pop, Evil, and all those bands that sound the same. Well, I kind of feel like the record labels look for... I use this example, okay? I've used this example on numerous occasions. Do you remember when Lord of the Rings came out? You remember that year? Yeah, I'm sure you remember that year because Troy came out and all these other sword-slinging films came out. All of them. Like it was just a year of like sword slingers. When Expendables came out, we had the A-Team, the Losers. It was all ensemble, like grade A fucking mesh clash of fucking just big names. That's all it was that whole year. It almost seems like it's predetermined at that point, right? When Conjuring came out, it was like a bunch of like these ghost films and possessed devices and shit. That's what it was. I wonder if music is the same way. Okay, so Hinder is blowing up in the number one spot with their song Lips of an Angel. So we need more bands that sound just like that. Maybe that's how industry works in general. Maybe. I don't know. I've never been that high up in the office before. I've never been quite up there before. But I will say this. It makes fucking sense to me. God, now I've got a stuffy nose. What the fuck happened? Take a sip of this glass. All of a sudden I had a stuffy nose. Is there COVID in here? Did somebody put COVID in this? There's COVID in here. Thank God I can still taste it though. God, it smells like, it sounds like I just did a fucking line of Coke. A lion will never concern himself with the opinion of sheep. Good point. That's a good point. But I will say this though. If you look at some of the fans can be considered sheep. All right? Juggalos, all face painted, whoop, whoop, for a fucking whole weekend. For a fucking entire weekend. That's pretty sheepish to me, right? Now, people say that I look like a sheep because I've got the mohawk and studded vest. I have not seen that many people with mohawks and studded vests. As a matter of fact, I was told that the mohawk, I've walked in my hometown, I haven't seen a mohawk in years. Really? Yeah, man. I mean, I walk into fucking Meijer, vest and mohawk up, and everyone's just, look at that guy. Look. Oh, it's a unicorn. It's fucking weird. So, for me, I didn't sell out. And for me, I'm not one of the sheep because where I'm at in my demographic and in my area that I live and in the work that I do, when I show up sitting next to T-Money Green, I got the mohawk and studded vest, and T-Money's not wearing a mohawk and studded vest. I'm offering a different kind of character. So no, I'm not looking like everybody else because I look different to the majority of the people that I do business with. Standing out, which by the way, peacocking, which by the way, is in a book. I believe it's called like how to, it was written by some dude named Mystery Man. And it's like some book on like how to like hook up with women and how to get their attention and shit like that. I only got through the first chapter because I'm thinking, shit don't work. And it fucking don't. Some of it does. But regardless, it was a guy that was just probably trying to make money and he sold a how-to book, right? That's probably what he did. So, in my honest opinion, the art of selling out is not that difficult. You got to betray your fan base. You got to come up with a popular song. You got to do a feature with a song that everybody fucking hates, that everybody knows as well. You got to do that. So the perfect idea for Twisted to officially sell out, right, would be they do a song with Justin Bieber featuring Tekashi 6ix9ine. They change their look completely. And I mean like metal band, like with the, like I'm talking like Kiss level, like selling out appearance, right? Multi-platinum song, multi-platinum album. They leave Magic Ninja Entertainment completely and get signed to like fucking Sony, directly Sony. Yeah. That's what I think. If they wanted to sell out, that's what I think it would be. That would be my definition of selling out. So if Twisted wants to be called sellouts, or if bands want to say that they sold out, that would be my vision of somebody selling out. Using somebody else's gimmick, using somebody else's name to push yourself, shit like that. That's what I think selling out would be. So really, the Insane Clown Posse, by being signed to Disney Records, which was Island Records, and having Steve Jones of the Sex Pistols, rock and roll fucking legend, and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, and you've got Slash, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee from one of the biggest bands ever, Guns N' Roses, on that album. Kind of a sellout move, isn't it? I'm just saying. Indoor cats and dogs have perhaps sold out. That's a good point. Maybe they did. They literally kill each other over both things. Their only forms of currency are pussy and food. Jesus Christ. So do animals sell out? Animals probably do. But I mean, I joke about my Pomeranian. Like, I'll call for her. I'll be like, Diva, come here. Come here, Diva. Come here. She'll be like, fuck no, I ain't listening to you. I rustle a bag of like her little treats. She'll fucking book it from whatever crevice of the apartment she's at and come like running up like, I heard that. So really, if I was in danger or somebody broke into the house and offered her a treat, she'd be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to bark. You offered me a treat. Like, I'll shut right the fuck up. And then I get murdered in my sleep. God damn, is it the heat? Is it the heater turned on? Then my nose is all stuffy and shit. Kicked up some dust. Like, what the fuck happened? Sounds like I just did like fucking cocaine, man. But now that you mention it, a dog that doesn't just fucking kill rabbits and shit in exchange for a human giving their food every day is technically selling out. That's an interesting point. You're not doing what an animal normally does. So really you sold out your fucking, but everything they do is also like kind of like primal, right? Really interesting. Like, we really broke this down to a fucking science. We really did. And I'm actually rather interested to hear what people have to say. Like, dogs win agility prizes. We're having our own discussion, Sid. All right, fine. You guys have your own discussion. I'll have my own discussion, I guess. Fuck it, Christ. Hey, at least you guys are helping out over here at the Twitch network. So I appreciate it. You guys are making the switch to Twitch so much easier. But I do want to say this real quick. Before I get off of here, because we are actually way over time. I do want to say this real quick. Malum Paradisum, my sixth novel, my sixth published novel. I still have some that are unpublished. I am going back and fixing those, and then those will be up at some point. Malum Paradisum releases on December 14th, a gift to my sister. So please make sure you guys are checking that out. Pre-orders are available over at Kindle. Also, we still have patches available. If you guys want to help the cause for my campaign, feel free to let me know. Whoops, I just dropped one. These are my Sid Jones Power to the People 2024 patches. There is, in fact, a petition. I will get that for you momentarily. I will post it in here for you. So there is a link here. I'm going to get to it real quick. I wonder if this will work because it's a really long petition. This should work. I should have hit all the keywords. No, but my old articles. When was I on Forbes? That's weird. People did articles on me on Forbes. That's fucking bizarre. Okay. That's really strange. Try this one. I'm going to have to do this the other way. That's funny. There's a petition. Remove author Jones from the ballot. Ha! That's hilarious. That is hilarious. It's obviously got Author Jones, but that's fucking hilarious. That is funny as shit. All right, so I don't care about Southwest, so I'll just have to do this, I guess. This ain't easy. So I will do this. Here it is. Sweet, and it's a tiny URL, so it's not difficult. I will do this real quick, and then I will part with you guys. Thank you guys for joining us on this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh my God, I need the app to do that. This is ridiculous. Why do I need the app? Why can't I just use the, for fuck's sakes, mate? Twiggy, where are you? Post my thing, would you please? Why do I need the app? This is ridiculous. This is stupid. I don't want the app for Twitch. I fucking don't need it and don't want it. I know, I'm kind of an asshole. I don't want the app for my own thing. So if you guys are interested, head over to the Sid Jones Network. The link will be there. Go over to the Sid Jones Network over on Facebook. Click that link. It's there. So feel free to sign that petition. Get me on the ballot for 2024. Make sure you guys stay tuned tomorrow night, live, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got a great episode for you tomorrow night. I'm excited. And then Tuesday night, the Master Debaters is back before Thanksgiving. So Tuesday night, we're going to do a very special prior to Thanksgiving, like little video. Twiggy and I are working on it. So, yeah, I'm excited. I want to thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. And if you guys ain't down with any of this, fuck what you think. And I'll see you tomorrow night live right here, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you guys are following us, giving us a subscribe if you can. And I'll catch you guys. Much love and respect to each and every one of you for standing by me for this hour and a half almost. Much love, guys.